Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a game I always inevitably come back to. Something about the artwork on the cards and the whole deck building aspect always pull me right back in. All the cool spellcasters, warriors, machine types that you see. I remember putting so many hours into the Eternal Duelist Soul Game Boy Advance game as a kid. That game helped me understand strategic depth that I look for in video games even now. My interest eventually kind of dwindled down towards the end of the GX era, but there was a release date put on for the 2011 Yu-Gi-Oh! Game called Over the Nexus. And once that game came out, I was introduced to a brand new mechanic at the time called Synchro Summoning. There was a mode where you could duel with pre-made deck versus pre-made deck based on that meta's archetypes that were out, and each of them had all of the competitively viable staple cards that you would need for each one. So that game really got me into a competitive type of play where generic monsters were used. So you can imagine my excitement when I found out there was a brand new Yu-Gi-Oh! Video game that was slated to come out for the Nintendo Switch. And as a side note, the game has now been released on Xbox One, PS4, and on Steam as well. Okay, roll the clip. The one thing you'll immediately notice when you look back at the Yu-Gi-Oh! You remember playing versus Yu-Gi-Oh! Now are just the amount of cards that are just flying across the board compared to then. This is in tandem to the newer summoning mechanics that have been introduced to the game over the years. The monster types were originally a little more simple. There were normal monsters, effect monsters, ritual monsters, and fusion monsters. But rituals weren't really that commonly used yet. We have Synchro monsters, Xyz monsters, Pendulum monsters, and Link monsters. This can be so overwhelming if the last time you played was before Synchro monsters existing. Can you imagine just seeing all these different colored cards and not knowing their conditions? Luckily, the game has its own self-centered tutorials that build the mechanics up and allow you to understand the conditions you have to meet in order to bring out these type of monsters. Even after learning the conditions after going through the tutorial, I noticed that I was still confused sometimes as to when I was able to summon a certain monster or not. Luckily, the game lets you know that you are in a position to summon a monster or not. To go further than that, you might not know how certain cards will react when you go through with certain plays. One of my favorite aspects of Yu-Gi-Oh! Video games is that the scripting allows you to know exactly your limits. It doesn't allow you to go past a certain point if there are limits in the game. If a card locks players out of spell cards, guess what? You won't be able to activate that spell card, and then you won't even have the option to place it down on the board. This feature can take the most convoluted game states and make them a little easier to understand and digest. It takes some of the guessing out of the game and can help you transition into playing the game in real life if you plan on going that route. As I started playing through the game, I started realizing there are certain cards I was noticing that just seemed cool to me that piqued my interest. I did some research on the decks I was interested in looking at. I was going through some competitive and regional winners to see what type of decks they were using and what cards they had in said deck. I ended up building a hero deck and an Endymion deck. I vividly remember enjoying the hero cards in the GX anime and watching Jaden make all these different fusions. And at the time, the hero archetype was getting support with the Vision Heroes Ferris and Increase. Seeing them now, they're able to take down an opponent in a single turn if you're able to get the combo going. I really enjoy all the different routes you can take the deck depending on what your opponent's playing or depending on how they're trying to shut you down. There are different routes you can go in a hero deck and still get maximum output for it. And the reason I chose the Endymion deck, kind of funny really, playing Over the Nexus, there was a Endymion Duelist you would go against, and I really liked the whole spell counter aspect of using spell counters to get different effects off. And to be honest, I actually really love the artwork that the new Endymion cards have. So for me, it went hand in hand. Those spellcasters just look super cool. Endymion, the Mighty Master Magician, just looks super cool, and just all the effects that he has in them are just fantastic. I got to play the decks and actually see how they work and how they function and what they're supposed to accomplish. This to me is probably the biggest reason to get this game. And think of it this way, if you have a Nintendo Switch and you get it on that console, you can take this deck building wherever you go. So if you're out going somewhere, you can just go build a deck and chill the heck out. This is something that's really alluring to me about playing Yu-Gi-Oh! On the go like this. Say you have a deck you got really into and now you want to play it on real life, go to your local trading card shop and buy some singles, and if you're not really satisfied with their selection, there's always TCG Player. TCG Player's pricing is competitive. It might be better than your local game store's options. What's that? Infinite Impermanence? It's $90 for a playset and that's too much money for you? That's okay. Throw in the budget version that we call Effect Veiler. A common's only $1, so for a playset you're going to spend about $3 to negate effects. For a majority of the staple cards, there are affordable substitutions you can make to fit your budget. Keep in mind, some of these cards aren't as easily replaceable. Fantastical Dragon Phantasme, IP Masquerena, and Pot of Extravagance are a few that come directly to my mind as soon as I was writing this part of the video out. It is important for me to note these type of cards as they are very good, but they're not required to get into the competitive field of the game. As much as I love this game and the potential to build all these decks, that's not to say that there aren't any gripes I have with it, because there are quite a few. I think it's only fair to pay attention to the bad parts of the game as much as there are good parts, just so I can make a fair criticism of a game. At the beginning of the video, I made air quotes saying that the game was brand new, and as it turns out, this game is actually not new. The Nintendo Switch version is a special edition of this game that includes all past DLC and adds in the Link era. It wasn't a huge deal to me, but that could be a deal breaker for some people if they're trying to get a newer game. If you're someone who's critical of graphics, it is important to note that certain monsters have summoning animations. They're cool, but they're not up to par. There's a lot of comments on YouTube saying that the Duel Links animations are cooler than these animations in this game. The gripe I have with that is that the animations play every single time you bring out the monster. If you have 3 Dark Magicians, guess what? It goes back. If you put the card in the graveyard and bring it back, it's gonna play the animation again. It could be annoying for some people. It's like 3 seconds long. It's not a huge deal. The thing I'm wondering though is why doesn't Flame Wingman have an animation? They gave it to Thunder Giant. I would say that Flame Wingman was Jaden's first ace monster until they introduced Neos. So I don't know why they gave Thunder Giant the animation. He looks kind of weird too. The game just got a free update in April that added cards from everything up until Duel Overload. That pleases me greatly. I know that's a positive. My hesitation, however, is that for this point, it was only up until maybe late 2018 of cards, and I don't know if they're gonna update the game again for free. I'm worried because we're talking about Konami here. I feel like they're gonna like make a new game and then charge full price for that, but I don't know. I'm kind of iffy on that aspect of it, and I think it is important to note that. But the biggest and realest gripe I have with the game is the currency system that they put into it. No, I'm not talking about real money. It's all in-game. All this money accrues in the game when you win at duels, or even if you lose at duels, you get amounts of money. They're called duel points. And so you use these duel points to go to the pack shop and buy cards. And cards are obviously in different packs, and you unlock more packs as you go through the story mode. Perfectly fine, I understand that. They want you to play the game. But now, at this point, the game has turned into a grind. I'm constantly just going to the surrender and quitting out, going to surrender and quitting out, and accruing points. That's fine, I guess. They want you to play the game and incentivize it. That makes sense. My problem with it is once I have all this money, I cannot buy booster packs by more than the quantity of 1. Yeah. So I'm just going boop, pack, boop, pack, and I'm trying to buy like 30 packs to, get an archetype, let's say, like building heroes, and I'm there each pack. It is such a waste of time. So at some point I've dedicated a part of my day to, whenever I'm trying to grind at least, I dedicate a part of my day to going in a match, skipping all the things, surrendering, and then a whole portion of that is buying pack after pack after pack. So you can imagine the frustration that can be when you're trying to just get your playset of Ash Blossom from Leo and Luna's pack, and you're like, I don't want any other cards in this set, but man, the hand traps are in here. So this is something to consider, and I find it to be somewhat of a waste of time. Like, I can't even go back and buy duplicates of cards I've already pulled. I have to have the luck of pulling that secret rare again. Rant over. Well, Yugioh is kind of a beautiful mess with all its combo plays and kind of confusing summoning conditions at first. I find the game to be pretty rewarding once you get the hang of it, get the feel of how the game is supposed to be played. The game is a great way to catch up and figure out how to play. This game single-handedly got me to actually buy the cards that I like in real life and play the decks that I like in real life. And it's actually gotten me to go to a couple events in the past year. I went to the regionals in 2020 in Pasadena. I went to YCS Pasadena in 2019, and I went against, my first match ever in a competitive event was against the Pen God Triff, He kicked my butt with a Striker Orcus deck. I met a lot of nice people, you make friends with people online and just talk about the game. It's funny, at the YCS event, I actually saw one of my coworkers walking and I was like, I used to work with you. And him and I ended up being like homies for the whole day, and I need to text that guy. I haven't talked to him in a while. If you've got a more modern game console, I would advise you check it out and just give it a shot. I think when it's not on sale, it's $40, and I've seen it go as low as $20. And if you get the physical version, I believe it comes with 3 promos. If this game or consoles are out of your budget and you have a computer that's even not that great, I would honestly recommend playing Edo Pro, aka Project Ignis, for an automated experience to play any card you want in the game, and it's constantly being updated, or Dueling Book, which is more like Dueling Network. It's more manual. It's better to get into if you're wanting to play a more authentic experience. If you need any help with those programs or anything really, feel free to leave a comment or reach out to me in a DM or something. I'd be glad to help you out. I hope this video was helpful for those who were unsure if they were going to get this game or not. If this video was helpful to you in any way, feel free to leave a like, a comment, share it around. That helps YouTube know that other people are interested in this that are beginners. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Follow me on twitch.tv/whatsupnate. And if you want to keep up with me on social media, feel free to follow me at whatsupnate. I use Twitter and Instagram pretty consistently. I'm also the host of the Sleepy Gamer podcast, the comfiest video game podcast on the internet. Join me and my 2 friends Abby and Mitchie as we go and hang out and catch up about video games and other things we're doing. It's pretty chill. You might like it. I'll leave a link to that in the description as well. Anyway, thanks again for watching the video, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.